I've recently noticed some recurring themes in my virtual styling sessions with some of you around closets that are constantly cluttered, or frustrations you have with getting dressed and why you can't seem to get creative with what you already have. So through those sessions, I've come up with 5 habits that seem to lead to wardrobe chaos or dissatisfaction and frustration, and some suggestions on how we can break those habits. Before we jump in, a reminder that there are still tickets open and available for my live Shop Your Closet workshop. We are having our next event on April 22nd between 1 and 3 p.m. EST. I will leave information in the description box below. This month's theme is dressing for change. So whether it's a changing body, changing seasons, changing lifestyles, it's really difficult to navigate, and I thought it was worth diving into this topic more. Let's jump on in. So this first habit is when you buy the same thing in multiples. Nothing wrong with this. I think it is an excellent strategy if you are so solid in your core sense of style, if you know your 3 words and they haven't changed in a very, very long time. However, what I've noticed is that when I buy an item in multiples that is the exact same cut, silhouette, neckline, but just in multiple colors, I still find myself getting a little bit sick of that item. And then I find I just have so many of them, and they add clutter to my closet. What I would do instead of focusing so much on having multiple color variances, I would look instead at a slight tweak in the silhouette or the neckline. I believe that there are at least 2 or 3 necklines that work on everybody, and there are at least 2 or 3 silhouettes that work on everyone. When you slightly change the silhouette, slightly change the neckline, this will give you the same look that you're going for. However, it'll give you that variance you need to change up the vibe of your look. You could also play with texture here, like use the same silhouette and cut but in a different fabric, which could also work. However, since fabric is what sits closest to the body, and I feel that's what really gives us that first hit of, are we comfortable in this or not? I like to play less with fabric unless you know absolutely 100% that you really like these 2 different types of fabrics or whatever. A good example of this for me is this blouse here from Cézanne. It is the exact same cut as a blouse that I had for years and years, but the blouse was cream. It was like threadbare. It was time for it to go, but I knew I loved that cream blouse, so I thought, perfect. I'm gonna get the exact same thing, but in a print, in something darker, and I'm just gonna like rotate through these. And I found myself not wearing this blouse as much because I already had that cream one and I loved it. I don't know, this didn't feel different enough. Even though it had polka dots and it was a little bit more playful, I realized what I was seeking was a different vibe from the silhouette. What happened was I actually ended up having to let go of the cream blouse. I ended up wearing this one a lot more, but also I made another purchase, this black blouse here. They're definitely not identical by any means, but they are both silk. They both have a really good drape. They're kind of a similar silhouette, but not. This one is a lot bigger, wider, drapier, a little bit less tailoring. The details on this black blouse are a little bit more feminine. There's more frills, it's a little bit more sexy. And I find myself wearing this blouse so much more now that I have this one in a slightly different cut with slightly different detailing, because they are different enough that I can see how different of a purpose they each serve. When you want to buy multiples, look for a slightly different silhouette and perhaps look for slightly different details that give it a different style personality. And I think that's going to give you so much more use out of your multiples rather than having carbon copies in different colors alone. Pieces that we keep in our closets but we never wear because we're saving them for a special occasion. I've talked about this before, and especially these days, I don't know why we're waiting for special occasions to wear pieces that make us feel and look really fantastic. I think one of the biggest pain points around getting use out of these special pieces is that they might be intimidating because maybe they're a little bit more festive, maybe they're a bit bold, maybe it's not so much the vibe that we want to take on a, you know, random Wednesday morning. But the easiest way to counteract this and get use out of those special pieces and make it so that you're comfortable wearing them on the regular is by pairing them with sort of the thing that's on the opposite end of the spectrum. spectrum. So an item that feels a lot more laid back, a lot more casual, or perhaps it's just an item that you wear all the time and that you're really comfortable in. So it's like, you know, you're pairing something really special with something that is totally everyday, and that's gonna bring it down a notch. I would say look for a texture in an opposing fabric. So a texture that maybe feels a little rougher, a little more utilitarian. You could also look for silhouettes that feel a little bit more utilitarian and basic, so just really straight, clean cuts. Doing this allows you to keep your sense of stealth, keep your sense of style without feeling too costumey or too fancy or out of place. Leaving our tags on clothes and not returning them, and then it's too late by the time we want to return them, and then they just sit there hanging in our closets, building resentment for not being worn, and then you get resentment. Then we just end up increasing all the clutter in our closets, and it's no fun. There are two things that I would recommend you do. The first is when you are thinking about purchasing the item, ask yourself, would I want to take the tags off right away when I get home? Like, is this something that as soon as I get home, I want to rip the tags off and I want to wear it out? That might be a good prompt as to whether or not this is a solid purchase in the first place. Secondly, I understand, especially with fit and sizing, there are a lot of times where we don't want to try stuff on in the change room or for online shopping. What I would do in this case is find a small little rack, hang the tagged items up on the rack somewhere where you see it every day, leave them there for a week. Give yourself only a week. Just let them sit there, make sure it's in a place that you can see them in your room, in the hall. Make sure you're trying them on every few days. In your subconscious, once you've tried them on, you will have made a decision. I think you'll know if it works for you or not, but making sure that they are always top of mind and not just randomly mixed into your closet will kind of develop the habit of taking action right away if it's gonna be a return or not, or if you love it or not. A lot of us will categorize our closet in terms of our different lifestyle needs or sections. So the easiest example I can share is like, you know, everyone has this section of work pants or like work trousers, and they only wear them at work. And that's okay, but I think when we categorize our clothes so strongly, it really stops us from seeing them in a creative way. And that kind of brings us to buying more things for all of the other categories of our life, when really we could probably use those work trousers, for example, in multiple scenarios. The easiest way to counteract this, like putting our clothing in a box thing, is to see our clothes as elements of style. I talk about this all the time. It is the crux of my channel and something that I feel is incredibly crucial if you want to get creative with what you already have and shop your closet successfully. I think it's so much more beneficial, all trousers, like all separates, skirts, pants, jeans. It'll help you see things like color, texture, and silhouette. Rather than looking at a pair of trousers and being like, oh, well, these are for work, I can't wear these to go out for dinner with my friends. Instead, what I would think to myself is, okay, what's the silhouette that I want to wear tonight with my friends? Do I want something tight, sleek, and sexy? Or do I want something that feels a little bit more loungy and soft? And in that case, I can see my clothes as having so much more opportunity rather than being, you know, so stuck within these categories that when we see them as these elements of style, it just opens up so much more opportunity. Keep clothes that no longer fit. This is a really tough one because our bodies are constantly changing. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. I think, in fact, it is very human for our bodies to change over time. If you're someone whose body weight and shape changes consistently over time, then what I would recommend is keeping classics, quality, basics in like a little storage. Put those away for when your weight dips or elevates. If you're going through a bodily change that like you don't know where it's gonna go, take the items that currently no longer fit, the ones that are not trendy, the ones that are high quality so that maybe you can get them altered in the future if needed, that are timeless to you, that match your 3 words, put those away. But if your body has seemed to sort of plateau at a certain size, maybe even just 2 years, then you can consider letting go of those items or altering decluttering them if you can. That is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you found those habits enlightening and how to break them also helpful. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if you learned something new. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget I've got tickets to the next live Shop Your Closet studio. I would love, love, love to see you there. Thank you so, so much for being here. If you are still here, if you've watched the whole thing, thank you. It always means a lot. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week ahead. Thank you for being here. Ciao.